Now here we have an interview between the founder of Quant, Gilbert Verdian, and the vice president of Ripple XRP, James Wallace. As you can see here over in his LinkedIn, you can actually see that he's got 3 years and 9 months over at Ripple XRP as the vice president of Ripple X, central bank engagements and central bank digital currencies, and also as a vice president of global sales and strategy and operations. And of course, we got Gilbert Verdian, the founder, as I mentioned, who of course is the founder of Quant. Quant currently sitting at $108. Now, if you're a holder of any of these two tokens, XRP Ripple or Quant, or if you are looking to invest in these throughout this bear market, looking to accumulate as much tokens as possible, I'd highly recommend you to watch this video, as we do have a lot of value to get into regarding the actual tokens, and also from the perspective from some pretty high up team members in these organizations. I'll be giving you my live reaction to it as well, so you guys can get a good idea on what's actually going on. A lot of value to take from it. Trust me, you do not want to miss it, as it gets pretty insane. But before we do actually go any further, let me remind you that if you're new to the Crypto Maxi channel, slap the subscribe button and like the video. It would actually go a long way. And of course, remember that nothing should be treated as financial advice. Please do your own research, guys. Everything in this video is public video knowledge and my personal take and opinion, and nothing should be ever be treated as any sort of advice. Yeah, just with that being said, now let's get straight into it. So let's get started with this interview, and let's just say I'll be playing it and just pausing it whenever I want to give you my take. But yeah, let's get straight into this.
There's a question of will interoperate with each. There's a question of how these will all interoperate with each other, and how we can create bridges between them. At what level will they be interoperable? Will it be a technical level or a logical level? Will we have, at what level will those bridges be created? And then again, I suppose it's not only a question of interoperability between new CBDCs, but also CBDCs will not signal the end of the existing payments infrastructures that we have. So how will CBDCs coexist and interoperate with existing payments infrastructure as well? So Gilbert, what are your thoughts on the thorny questions of interoperability and how that can work in future, and how we can avoid, instead of opening up access between jurisdictions, having more open.
Now, before we actually go any further within this interview, I think we need to make clear on, of course, what the question is all about and what's the situation. So, of course, we got Gilbert Verdian, James Wallace, and some other individuals who obviously are either part of the team or pretty high up in these organizations that will be working in interoperability. I always get this word wrong, and of course, basically making CBDCs adoption much smoother. Of course, Quant with the Quant Overledger, Ripple XRP with their payment systems, and this question is simply about interoperability and how Quant will be accommodating CBDCs.
Open access, closing off access instead.
Thank you, Jenna. I think it's a very good question and a topical one, because it's one of the areas that needs looking at and solving today, so it's ready for tomorrow, because interoperability is one of the key components of mainstream use, and it is quite broad. So I think the first thing is, the global financial system works. We're not here to turn it off and start again. I think,
and that's, in my opinion, by the way, going to be the biggest factor for when it comes to the tech that we have with the Quant Overledger that is connecting all these blockchains, is the fact that, their current payment system is not going to stop. It's simply going to be continuing, shifting from SWIFT over to ISO 20022 in the smoothest and most seamless way possible. And of course, through the blockchain is the easiest way to do it. That's the way they're planning to bring in the central bank digital currencies and switching to this new system. And the Quant Overledger simply allows this to actually happen. And of course, let's just get straight into it.
One of the things we need to consider is interoperating and integrating the existing financial systems and the RTGS systems, settlement systems, banking systems that we have in place to be able to work with DLT and blockchain type of payment systems. So the first thing is, let's extend the capabilities of our existing financial system to be able to talk decentralization, blockchain, and DLT to have better use cases and help with that evolution of money. The other consideration we need to look at is, if we're going to do that, and especially with the wholesale versus retail scenario, security is quite important because national payment systems are deemed national critical infrastructure.
And that's again another massive point. And I think this is something that's not even being talked about much. People are going around talking about central bank digital currencies, but the security factor and the fact that tech has got to be up to the standard, right? It's not, it just can't be. It's going to be jurisdictions, governments, a lot of countries, you know, depending on this payment system. We're talking about, imagine if the Swiss system had a hack, you know, and that's the thing we hear about in crypto, you know, a lot of hacks happening, a lot of security breaches, a lot of cyber attacks that of course we've seen with tokens like Axie Infinity. And of course, there's a completely different sphere we're in, a much more, I'd say, professional and safe environment. But even then, it is important that, you know, when you have the tech that Ripple and XRP and Quant is going to be providing, they've got to be up to the standard. And the only reason, you know, you keep hearing about Quant, XRP, and of course some other ones as well, XLM and so on, is because they are trustworthy. As for the time being, they are able to provide the tech that, let's just say, not many out there will be able to, especially as fast as these companies here. But yeah,
I mean, they're critical to running economies. If they collapse, you know, we have huge impact to countries. So what we do today in payment systems need to also evolve to help with, you know, digital assets, CBDCs and DLT types of payment systems as well. And then finally, when we're creating a digital asset as a CBDC, you know, with every other technology before us, we haven't all used the same version as everyone else. You know, everyone needs flexibility, everyone needs an agnostic approach to it. And so we need to allow participants to the interbank network, which is usually going to be the wholesale interbank network, to bring their own DLT, which are the commercial banks, and for them to run digital assets in terms of wholesale or retail CBDCs that can work across the different types of technology stacks, but also across the different types of borders as well. So
now this is, you know, we're getting a lot of info here that, in my opinion, you know, you can't really find anywhere else other than these interviews. And again, if you want to stay updated in these, you know, subscribe and hit the bell. But pretty much this is pretty insane. It's going to be, from the sounds of it, I might be completely wrong. I might have got it in the wrong way, but there's going to be banks, right, with their own, you know, certain assets. You know, could this mean they have their own crypto, their own sort of crypto based on these CBDCs? I'm not exactly sure on how that's going to work. You know, we're still in the infancy, in the early stages of the CBDCs actually being talked about, and then of course being adopted in a couple of years. But there is some interesting info that I would love to hear more about maybe in the future. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
So doing all of this is quite complex, and you know, a good way to go ahead as an industry is to create standards and follow that and work together. I think there's a great and enormous opportunity to transform the financial system. It doesn't come often, it's every 30 years or so. And having standards-based approach is kind of a right way to allow everyone to bring the best of their expertise around governance, legal, cybersecurity, technology, etc. So we can all have standards that can actually work for the technology that we're building together.
Thanks, Gilbert. And so you've
But yeah, guys, that's basically the interview we've got here. Of course, we didn't hear much from the Ripple XRP founder in this video. I'll be making a future video regarding, you know, what the Ripple XRP founder had to say. But, you know, in this case, we have focused on Quant, that there's a lot of value actually given off here on what CBDCs are going to mean for the future of the financial system, which really will affect all of us. Yeah, pretty interesting. There is still, I would say, lightly touched. There isn't too much info out yet on how CBDCs will be adopted. You know, how will this affect? We got the main bits, of course, on how it will affect our, you know, privacy within our money, which of course is a massive con. And we also know about how there's going to be pros about it. But I do feel like, again, the cons does outperform the pros for when it comes to central bank digital currencies. But yes, guys, that does bring us to the end of this video. Let me know what you thought about Quant's founder's take and his thoughts on CBDCs. Let me know on what coin do you prefer, Quant or XRP. Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, it's been your boy Crypto Maxi. I will catch you guys in the next video, guys. Peace.